Call the meeting to order. Please rise. We're going to start by a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. In case you're not certain where you are, this is beautiful downtown Cold Spring. Everybody knew that? All right. We start every meeting with a public forum in which we allow anybody that would like to have a couple minutes to address the city, a couple of minutes to have a chance to say what they need to say. Would anyone like to have a minute? Yes, good sir.
All right, excellent. I have two things. So if I forget of the second one, remind me. On the consent agenda, you have part-time officer you're going to be voting on.
Yes.
His name is Brady Goebel, and he is down there.
Okay.
I'll have you stand up here quick. All right. Prior to getting a position here, he was reserved for the City of Sartell. And if you know anything about City of Sartell visitors, they have helped us with the parking at Firefest every year.
Okay.
So he helped us last year with that parking. So he was interviewed by several people, and he's up for her today.
Okay.
So that's Brady. And
Welcome.
then,
Thank you.
and then we also have National Night Out.
Okay.
We will be talking about that here in a little bit, but I thought I would mention it twice. National Night Out is going to be on August the 2nd, so Tuesday. All right. We're going to have it both in the city of Cold Spring and the city of Richmond. City of Cold Spring will have it at North Point, the park in North Point itself, and at Pioneer Park. All right. Everybody knows where Pioneer Park is. It's off of 10th Avenue. Okay. And then the city of Richmond has also the same event going on. Theirs is going to be at the ice arena, hockey arena, and the event is going to go from 5:30 p.m. until approximately 9 o'clock at night. So, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to address? Well, excellent. Again, thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. For those of you that have a copy of the agenda, we are now going to be on item number 3 of the agenda, which is approving the agenda itself. So, council, any questions with regards to the amended agenda? Hearing none, then what I need is I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Dave, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an active agenda to work on. Item number 4 of our agenda is the consent agenda. Bridget, if you would be kind enough.
Sure. A, minutes of July 12, 2016. Recommendation to approve the minutes of the July 12, 2016 City Council meeting as presented. B, authorized advertisement for sale of the 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The recommendation to authorize the advertisement for the sale of a forfeited 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee by sealed bids. C, one-day gambling license, Country Snow Cruisers. Recommendation to approve Form LG 220 application for exempt permit to conduct one-day gambling for Country Snow Cruisers for a raffle to be held November 25th, 2016 at the Great Blue Heron. Furthermore, to waive the 30-day waiting period for said permit. D, authorize the hiring of part-time police officer Brady Goebel. Recommendation to approve the hiring of part-time police officer Brady Goebel at a starting pay of $18.69 per hour, contingent upon successful completion of the standard physical examination. And E, authorize the assessments on the forfeited lots within Blue Heron. Recommendation to approve reducing the assessments on the forfeited lots within Blue Heron Heights to $1,950 for lots priced, that should be $1,800, not $18,000, not $19,000, and $5,000 for lots priced $20,000.
Okay, council, did you get that last change on letter E? Take out 19 and insert 18? Okay. Any questions about any of the consent agenda items? Otherwise, I needed a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Dave, thank you. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Jamie, thank you. And we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Thank you. And Bridget, thank you. All right, item number 5 on the agenda. Council, we've talked about this several times. Item number 5 on the agenda is about the solar garden. And again, we've talked about this several times. And in the past, what we've talked about is we love the concept, but what we're concerned about is, because it's a long-term thing, how will that play out for the city and what risks will the city be taking on? So we've got 2 companies that wanted to come in and make their presentation. What we've invited them to do is come in one at a time, give us their pitch. They get 5 minutes, maybe 6, but they can give us their pitch, make their presentation, then we'll discuss it, and then after we discuss it, we can decide how we want to proceed from there. Agreed? Excellent. All right, 5A, Geronimo Energy. Lee, if you would please, and if you'd have a chair up here, we would appreciate it.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council, and for the opportunity to discuss this, another great opportunity to participate in the Community Solar Garden Program. My name is Lee Bjork. I'm with Geronimo Energy. Currently, I live in Stillwater, Minnesota. I'm from Benson originally. What are we doing here? This program all came about, I don't know how much you know about it, but just briefly. In 2013, Xcel was mandated that they had to produce 1.5% of their power from solar. Okay, and how are they going to do that? The Community Solar Garden Program is one of the ways that they're doing it. And how does this work? Community solar gardens are shared gardens. They're roughly between, all of ours are between 2 and 5 megawatts in size. If you think of acreage, roughly 20 to 50 acres are most of the sizes of our gardens. So it gives you an idea of how big they are. How do they work? They're located in Xcel Energy territory. The power is going to go up into the grid, and it gets distributed by Xcel however they want to distribute it. There's no wires coming to the subscribers' buildings. If the power goes out at the solar garden, it's not going to cause your lights to flicker, nothing like that. It just all goes up into the grid, and it's basically a virtual subscription to the solar garden in a way to participate without putting up the panels yourself. Some of the rules that are about is, number one, we have to all have 5 customers or subscribers per garden, and no one entity can subscribe to more than 40% of a garden. Beautiful way to set up the program, because it eliminates the big users from taking over and being the only subscriber to the garden, and it assures that it's going to be a community garden and not one entity's private garden. So we've got 40% maximum and 5% or 5 subscribers per garden. And then how we determine what size the subscription is, and this was all regulated by the Public Utilities Commission and Xcel, is it's basically you can subscribe up to 120% of your 2-year average usage. So what we did with the help of Chris and helped before Bridget was here, and we got the Xcel data release form signed, all your premise numbers, we submit it to Xcel, and we get your 2-year average. This is your and now this 2-year average is your baseline, and it's used to determine what percentage of the garden you can subscribe to. Okay. Once you get into a subscription, it doesn't matter what your usage is after that. It doesn't matter if your usage goes up or down. You're locked in at that subscription size at the time of that you sign the subscription. Okay. So that's kind of the basics of how it works. If you take a look, in your packet there should be our proposal. We might as well just get right to the nuts and bolts of what the opportunity is with Geronimo. After getting your 2-year average, you can see that down in the middle of that page, basically we've got you at about 1.5 million kilowatt hours a year is your average. Now the beauty of our program is it's a very simple, straightforward program. It's 1 cent per kilowatt hour of your subscription, guaranteed for the 25 years of the program. So it's That's it. It's just a simple 1 cent per kilowatt hour, and that ends up working out, usually that works out to about 10% of your electric bill. So you can see here, we've got you estimated that at that 1 penny brings your savings to just over $15,000 a year, or roughly $356,000 over 25 years of the program. If you multiply that 15,000 times 25, you're going to come up a little bit less, or you're going to come up larger than what our 25-year estimate is, and that's because there's a 0.5% degradation of the gardens and how productive they are every year. And so we've calculated that into the savings over the 25 years. Any questions yet at this point?
Okay, about 1 minute.
Oh, serious. Okay. Basically, you've got the numbers there. The most important thing, you've got those that dollar amount, but also just as important as the dollar amount is who's going to own and manage and operate the gardens from that point for the 25 years. We're fortunate enough that we're the developer. We're a Minnesota company. We're from Mountain Lake, Minnesota. We've got 40 employees. Everybody's from Minnesota. You know, we've been doing business here since 2004 with wind and solar. Okay, so we've got projects all over actually all over the country now. In December, we were fortunate enough that Berkshire Hathaway Energy bought all of our gardens, so they're going to be the owner-operator of the gardens. Berkshire Hathaway Energy, you couldn't ask for a better, more stable financial institution than Berkshire Hathaway to be having the financial background or the financial situation that they have in order to guarantee that you're going to be these gardens are going to be built and maintained and managed properly for 25 years so that you get your savings for 25 years. So that's a very good combination, having the Geronimo and Berkshire Hathaway. We're very fortunate with that.
Thank you. Council got questions for him?
Can I start?
Please.
Are any of these built right now?
They're all starting about right, well, not all, most of them are starting now.
The 9 that you have listed on here, right, that I'm looking at?
No, I don't believe so. In fact, if you're familiar with, you've seen the ones on 23 in Paynesville, being right on the curve there. The ones closest to 23 are part of our Aurora project, which we've actually sold. But that's a real big project. But right behind it is one of the gardens and that they've started construction on right now. And then we've got Glenwood, Bruton, and then 2 in Benton County that would be eligible in this area.
So of the 9 on here, how long would it take to get these built before we start annualizing this to its full potential?
Well, because of delays that everybody, yes, Kyle's smiling too, from Excel, our estimate, some of them are going to be up in 2016, and the following, they'll be done in 2017.
So the end of next year?
Yeah, yes, guarantee, they would be built by the end of 2017.
Does it work in a fashion where as one goes up, we sign that, we get the percentage of
Right.
the reduction of that? So
Each premise number gets a contract,
Okay.
and each garden gets a contract. So as they come up and start to produce, and the energy's being sold to Excel, that's when you start to save. Correct.
it'd be the end
So
of
you
next year.
it could be kind of tiered for the first year,
Okay.
and then it would all come into once they're all built. So, great question.
Where is the garden where we're going to invest in? Where is that going to be
Right now,
located?
Glenwood, Bruton, and Paynesville are 100% sold out. And so we've got 2 left right now that are eligible, and they're both in Benton County. One's near Sauk Rapids, and the other one's near Foley.
Do we plan on building something closer?
We don't have to. It doesn't have to be closer because remember it's just a virtual subscription, and one of the rules of the program are you have to be in the same county or the adjacent county to the gardens that are built in order to be eligible to subscribe to those gardens. So we couldn't take you and subscribe you to something down in southern Minnesota because you're too far away. You've got to be in the same county or the adjacent county. So we have 2 left that, right now, that you would be eligible for, and those are both in Benton County.
So you have room for us in Benton County then on that garden?
Yep.
How large are those gardens?
They're both 2 megawatts.
2 megawatts.
Yep. Yep, and one's about 60% sold, and the other one's about, or not, sold isn't really the right term, because it doesn't cost you anything to get into this program. So subscribed, and the other one's about 80%. So
Where in Benton County are they located?
one's near Foley, and one's near Sauk Rapids.
This assumes that the rates go up with Excel incrementally every year. Right?
Doesn't matter with us. Our program is a fixed 1 cent, no matter if rates go up or down. And I think this would help for, hopefully this, if you go to page 18 of this booklet, this will show you exactly how the program works, whether it's us or whether it's SunShare. So it's going to be the same for everybody. So if you look at that, we've got a sample of an Xcel Energy bill on the left. This particular customer used 100,000 kilowatt hours at a rate of 9 cents. We just threw that in there. Their bill would have been $9,000. Okay? As a subscriber, you're eligible. This situation, they were eligible for 60,000 kilowatt hours was their share of the garden. Of the power that was produced and sold to Xcel. The current, the current production rate is about 11.5 cents. So your credit would have been $6,900. Okay? So your bill to Xcel would have been $2,100. Okay? Now keep in mind you got that big discount there for nothing, right? There's been no subscription, no fees at all. But now you've got a subscription fee to get that discount from Xcel. And so that's where you would pay BHE because they're going to be the owner of the gardens. And with our program, it's always 1 cent less than what you received from Xcel. So in this situation, it was 11.5 cents. So if you look over at the sample bill to BHE, there's 60,000 kilowatt hours at 10.5 cents. It will always be 1 cent less than what you receive from Xcel, whether rates go up or down. And people think rates are always going to go up. They actually went down in 2006. That rate actually went down in 2016. And if they do go down, there's potential that you could pay more than you would had you not subscribed to the garden.
So our bill, the Xcel Energy bill that the city, are all of our streetlights metered then? Or
Yeah,
how do
well,
we-
here's
how
the,
do we do that?
streetlights don't qualify because if you own the streetlights and there's a premise number for them, they can be included. But a lot of cities are on this lease program with Xcel, and so then those don't qualify because you don't own them, and you're leasing them and they don't have a premise number, and they have to have a premise number. So streetlights, typically, I don't know what your situation is. I didn't see what your ratio was of
I don't.
own and lease, but
Pretty much any fancy light you see in town, we're probably gonna own, and the ones that look like a standard Xcel pole, they usually.
right,
There were some that qualified.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't know how much of the city bill that we get from Xcel is actually for the streetlights then, do we? Or do we know every month what the streetlight bill is?
We can get that from Excel. And I believe,
Is that the streetlights isn't our largest bill, let's just say uses the most electricity
No.
then?
it does not. Because it includes all of our public work buildings. It includes this building. It includes
Treatment.
All of wastewater?
the water, all of wastewater,
Okay.
all of the
So-
pumps.
Yep.
Each pump
So
So
the
what do we have,
streetlights are minimal then,
compared.
compared to what?
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if the streetlights were sucking the most electricity and we can't get credit for them, is what I was thinking, so.
It's a mix. But they're not our biggest.
But it's going to be based off our monthly bill.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Jamie?
No further questions.
Dave? No. Fran?
I'm good.
Okay. So what I thought I heard you say during your presentation was that the 1 cent is guaranteed for the full 25 years.
And actually, once it's fixed 1 cent, and we'll guarantee 90% of that 1 cent over the 25 years of the program.
Okay. Yeah.
So say for example, a tornado hit it, and there was no electricity sold for 6 months. We're still going to guarantee you 90% of that 1 penny
Okay.
during that time.
So if there's power generated, we will get the penny.
Right, you're going to get that 1 cent.
Anything.
Right.
Okay, that was what my next question was going to be. Then how do we know for certain that someone's going to make sure that that thing's generating power? Because we get nothing unless it's generating.
Right.
And you're telling
well,
me
keep in
the
mind.
guarantee.
Well,
is
and just keep
90%.
in mind that the developer and the owner of these gardens, it's in their vested interest. They're the big losers if these things don't produce. I mean, they've got all the money tied up into it, and they're the ones getting the 9 cents on our deal. The 9 or the other 9 cents. So they have to. They're very well interested, and it's in their best interest to make sure that these gardens produce as much as possible. So.
Okay. Again, with regards to this company, any more questions, any more general questions about solar? Again, you have to understand something, and this is just disclosure. Annie and I, my wife's name's Annie, Annie and I have a solar system on a roof of our house. We took that risk. We chose to do what we did, but we knew the risk, and we own it. We get the tax credits. We get all that. That's a risk I personally have chosen to take. What I'm concerned about here is whether or not the risk for the city is worth taking. And what I'm hearing you say is you're basically guaranteeing there is no risk.
Worst case scenario. Let's say worst case scenario, and I can't imagine why this would ever happen because of the investment that's in this. Let's say 15 years from now, all of a sudden, the program stops. Okay? Just worst case, absolute worst case scenario. What did you lose? You had 15 years of $15,000 a year for no investment. Contracts are null and void. Now you move on and do whatever you wanted, whatever you want to do now.
Excellent. Lee, thank you.
Can I ask one more question since I have both of you here? Can I subscribe to you and you?
Yep, you can. Typically, I mean, a really large user might be somebody like, for example, we've got, say for example, we only had 1 megawatt left up in Benton County and you needed 1.5 megawatt, or we couldn't meet your load up there. You could subscribe to us for that part, and you could subscribe to SunShare for the other part. And there are very large users that are doing that. I mean, Anderson Windows, for example. I mean, there's no way that we can, one developer can come up with enough to meet their needs. So they're subscribing to multiples.
Excellent.
Inclusive of us.
Yeah, we are, but both of us are in it.
Excellent. Again, thank you.
Yep.
And if you want to hang out, you can.
Okay.
We appreciate it. All right. The next person that's going to chat with us is Kyle from SunShare Community. So Kyle, please, I'm about to write down a time here so you can have your 6 minutes.
Well, Lee made it easy, so. All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess the program is explained pretty well. I mean, I've been bugging you guys for quite a while. I talked to the EDA a year and a half ago maybe, but so I guess I'll just kind of highlight our differences. One of the main differences is that we have a residential program as well. I know Bridget and I had talked about making sure that our messaging was clear, that you guys have not joined on with us yet. But they are out in the community, knocking on doors, informing people that this is going on so that they can subscribe as well. We fill our gardens about 50% what we call anchor tenants, so cities and school districts. You guys are bigger users, you help us get the financing to get these things built, but then also turn around and you guys are great leaders in the community, so we can kind of link arms and make sure it is really a community-based thing. So the next difference is we do have another option in terms of pricing. We do the fixed penny discount as well. But on the flip side of it, really it's good for a city that doesn't like a lot of risk. The one thing with it is if Xcel raises their rates 8% next year, you're attached to that. Your rate with us or Geronimo, if you have that fixed penny, your rates for that subscription is also going to jump up quite a bit too. And over the last, I believe it's 13 years we have it in the packet, it's been about 4 to 5%. We have a second pricing option where no matter what, for the next 25 years per kilowatt hour produced, instead of getting a penny, you're paying us 11 cents and there's a 0% escalator. So as the bill credit, and that bill credit is attached to Xcel's rate increases, so that as that rises, we'll keep our rate flat, and then you can see on page 4 the difference in the potential savings. We base this off of Xcel Energy raising their rates 2.75%, so it's a little bit conservative considering the 4 to 5% over the last 13 years. But your potential in that is 1.6 million instead of the 350,000. Does that piece of it make sense? Okay. And I did run the numbers. There, on page 6, there's a little bit of a stress test to give you guys an idea of what if Xcel does raise their rates 4% over the next 25 years. You're looking at $2.5 million in savings. And then I had a kind of worst case break even scenario there, and if Xcel raised or dropped their rates by 0.5% year over year for the next 25 years, you're still up $67,000, which is kind of humorous in a way. They would never do that, but it's less than inflation. So, and then just to give an idea in terms of a risk standpoint, it's if they raise their rates above 0.25% over the next 25 years, you're better doing the fixed rate. If it's under 0.25%, you're better off with the fixed discount. You're better off with that penny discount.
If their rate of increase is less than 0.25, we are better off with
the penny discount.
With the penny, but if they raise it on average more than 0.25% per year, then the numbers say we are better off using the variable increase that you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
Where we just have 11 cents and a 0% escalator for the next 25 years. And it's nice for budgeting as well. You know exactly what you're going to be paying for that energy for the next 25 years. 11 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
So.
You still have some minutes if you need them.
Yeah, I guess, we've talked a lot about the numbers and whatnot, but really our niche is the community-based solar. Like I said, how we split out our gardens, other things we do. We put in habitats for bees and butterflies, and we're actually building one over here just north of town by Peace Lutheran. They've been great to work with. We'll be partnering up with them, hopefully with a subscription here soon. Just got to get that tied up. That is sold out, but we can promote you guys on that garden as kind of the community leader for it. And then the garden that we do have available for you could 100% could go into it. It's just north of Starbuck, up in Pope County.
Okay. Is that adjacent to Stern?
It is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That just sounded like a long way.
That's Jason.
Okay.
So on top of the financial gain that you guys have here, there is that PR piece of it too. And because we have the residential side of it, not only can you be the leader going solar, but then people can also follow you. You know, a resident can also jump on board too, and the program works exactly the same for them as well. So that's the main thing I would say. And then we do have things like, we do have a curriculum that we give out schools for free. So if they want to take a field trip over to the garden, they can do that. If they want to integrate with their physics class or science or that sort of thing. Mortensen Construction will build all of our gardens. So they're obviously a great partner to have in terms of building something to last. So.
1 minute.
I mean, like I said, Lee made it easy on me. Explained the program pretty well. You know, if these things run down, if they break or whatever, it definitely is in the developer's best interest to get them back up and running. So you guys are in good hands either way here. I think Geronimo would be my second favorite community solar if I had to admit it. So
Excellent, thank you.
yeah,
Jamie?
right on.
Dave? Fran?
To get started with your company, what does the city of Cold Spring have to contribute? in the
Nothing.
beginning?
It's the same way that it works for Geronimo. There's no upfront.
We sign a agreement that we are going to buy so much kilowatts from you.
Exactly. That's all it is.
All right, so there's no money up front, or? Okay.
You got it. No liability to you guys on the garden, which is nice too. I mean, you know, if something happens on your system on your house,
It's mine.
it's yours.
It's mine.
You got to deal with it
Yep,
too. So
it's mine.
Our residential program, just a couple things. I know we're talking city here, but it is more flexible in the sense if somebody moves from their home to a different home, they don't have to take the panels down. We just transfer it to the new XL meter. If they move outside of XL service territory, we'll take that subscription back. We've had folks out in Colorado who actually sell their subscription with the home, kind of boosts the asking price of the home because it's, you know, solar, powered by solar. So.
One other presentation we may have heard referenced who we know who the developer was, but the question was, for our sake, we want to know who the owner's going to be. We want to have the security knowing who's going to be watching, whose system it's going to be, who has the vested interest. If we ask you the exact same question, how do you answer that?
Yeah, so we do all of our monitoring. We monitor it. I think it comes in every 30 minutes or so. So if we'll see it right away if it's cloudy or if the snow is covering it or whatever, we'll get out there and we'll maintain that. And we use Mortensen. They'll contract out whoever it is, so it's Minnesota based. But in terms of the actual financier for your individual garden is a little bit under wraps right now. We haven't actually signed on the dotted line with them. And that's typical for our side of the business. We didn't want to, it allows us more flexibility in terms of moving forward in the future. Obviously with Geronimo, they picked one to have all of their gardens, which you get the concrete, you know exactly what you're gonna get, which is nice. We want a little bit more flexibility so we can negotiate lower prices in terms of that development so that we can then offer lower prices for the end user too. So.
Is Sunshade going to build close to Cold Spring
Yep, so this one just north of you guys is gonna go in real soon here. It's just right north of Peace Lutheran Church over by Ricori. Yep.
Was there one south of Cold Spring too?
I think Sun Edison might have. I don't know if you know anything about that.
It's Sun Edison that's working. They've been to Wakefield Township meetings.
And have they been still going to those? Okay, cool, yeah. Because they did declare bankruptcy, so there was some confusion there as to if that was going to get built. But from everything I've heard from Sun Edison, that they're moving forward in Minnesota, even though they had that bankruptcy going. So I don't know if it's in a good spot or not, but we feel like.
So the one south of town is going to go through?
I'm not sure about it. I have heard that there's some issues on the placement
Come
of
to the
it.
city of Cold Spring and ask for their, and to buy from them instead of from you.
Sorry,
If they built that, if they built that one south of town.
Yep.
Now, will that company come to the city of Cold Spring and say, we can offer you?
From what I know, it's sold out. I mean, they did a 20-plus megawatt deal with St. Cloud that they might need to pull from that. And if they are not here now, I wouldn't expect them to be here.
Okay.
So they might get it. It might be sold out, and they're just trying to get it built at this point. So.
Again, we heard earlier that reasonably, we might expect that in 2016, if we should subscribe to a different company's program, we should start seeing those credits already in 2016. If we ask you the exact same question, what's your reply?
I wouldn't say 2016, and if I was any other developer with what's been happening with Excel, I don't know that I would guarantee anything in 2016. This one is going to go up here in 2016, but like I said, it's sold out. So the one up in Starbuck, there's so many hoops you got to jump through, and every now and then one of those hoops is in Excel's court. And so they might come back with something that's not favorable to the developer, and they continually do. There's been lots of articles about it in the Star Tribune and whatnot, but when that happens, you got to go through a whole process to the PUC to argue it and that whole thing. So that would probably be a 2017 project realistically, because I would hate to.
Then the state of Minnesota up that couple of more years? It used to be 2016 it had to be taken care of.
So there was that's an interesting point. There was a federal tax incentive that ended at 2016.
Right.
So maybe that's what you're referring to. That actually got pushed forward.
That's got extended 7 years.
Yep.
7
Yep.
years on solar.
7 years.
Yep. So 30% investor tax credit. Good question, yeah.
But we, the city, don't get to take advantage of that.
No.
Because again, partly it's because it's of a
Yep.
subscription, second of all, because we don't have to pay any income tax, so we don't get the.
Everybody's going to
But-
save money. Who's going to make the money?
Well, that's just it. You know who's making it. They're making it, they're selling off those tax credits. They're making it, and Berkshire Hathaway is making it. You know why they're investing in this. It's not because they like us.
Yeah.
So, wow.
But I mean, everybody's
That's just a
getting
bonus.
savings and nobody's, it's like, okay, profit don't come from savings, so it's, where does their profit come from in order to give us
Okay,
savings?
a big chunk of their profit comes from the fact that they're getting that 30% tax credit, which, and again, if you're in a big enough tax bracket, that's quite handy. The other part of it is, again, as you can see, what they're doing is they're sharing some of the load. It's mandated, they have to do it, so they're just cutting the pie, and we get a small piece of it.
Yeah,
So-
because in years you had to buy the equipment and everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
And on the residential side, you can still do
Since you
that.
bought yours, how many years do you expect to turn around? Because your electric bill is probably $6 a month. But now, how long is it going to pay that $70,000?
Okay, in our, and again, I'm a CPA, okay?
Okay.
In our case, we were able to do the math. We estimated how many kilowatt hours the house used, at what rate, and based on the information we have, factoring in the savings from the solar panels and the tax credit, we estimate it's going to take less than 7 years for our system to pay for itself.
To pay for itself.
Where with this program, you're gonna get savings the very first month that these gardens start to produce. And you don't have to wait for a payback.
Again, what both of these guys are saying is, we don't have any, we the city have no upfront cost, so therefore there cannot be a payback.
But also, we won't have to put those solar gardens on our property.
Exactly.
Like
Correct.
at first it started
Correct.
off.
You don't need the
Correct.
land, you don't need the roof structure to put them up, you don't need
Correct.
anything.
But I mean,
Correct.
when it first
All right.
started, they were looking for city property to
Correct.
put this on.
Correct. All right, here's what I like to do at this point. Thank you.
Yeah, you got
Here's
it.
what I'd like to do. Council, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't.
All right, then what I'd like to do is this. Council, how do you want to proceed? Do you want to take some action tonight, or do you want to spend some time thinking about it? Or what I would prefer is, let's take it back to staff. I love doing this part. Let's take it back to staff and let them put together some form of a recommendation that we can then proceed with. But in order to do that, in order to make it fair for staff, we should give them some indication of what it is we're thinking. So, without motions, without seconds, just, and again, Jamie, I'm going to start on your end of the table. Without motions or seconds, what I'm going to ask you is, give us some indication of what you think. Should we do it or shouldn't we do it? Do you have a preference, fixed or variable? Tell us roughly what you think.
The feedback that I have heard has been positive, and I'm more inclined to say we need to move forward with this because of the guarantees that you guys are talking about now. That when we first talked to you, it was about a year ago, there was a little apprehension, and the feedback that I had was whether nobody's throwing around the word guaranteed, nobody was sure of how the dollars balanced out, and now I get the feeling that that has come down a little bit, and that this is a successful program, and it's something we need to move forward with. How we split it between the two, or what we do, which way we go, I think.
Staff can do that.
My understanding from what feedback I've received is, let's look at all this together and see what makes the best sense for us as a city.
Okay, thank you. Mr. H?
I agree. I think we should move forward with it. It just sounds like it's savings to the city, and there's no real big downside right now. We're gonna save money.
Okay, thank you. Fran?
Yeah, it's changed, like Jamie said, it has changed. This whole scenario when we first started was we were going to be the new people to jump in to see how cold the water was. And now we have other cities already starting with it, and I don't hear any of the other cities whining about it. So, yeah, I would say let's do it.
And-
Do
and-
something.
And again, I agree with the whole concept. And before I give my opinion, I'm going to ask, even though she's not actually a voted-in council member, we're going to get some input here. What input would you like to share with us before we go any further?
The only thing is, I think the fixed rate is more fiscally sound, so
Okay.
no, that's where I would go. Granted, it's less, but they both offer it. When I first met with Kyle, they didn't have the fixed rate of the 1 cent option.
We had it, but the financial benefits are so much better.
Right,
That
right.
typically people pick it.
Right.
Over the fixed penny.
Right. So, but what we would do is for whichever one we pick, we have about, is it 12 parcels? I think that was the number that we have to do a
Premise numbers?
premise numbers.
Oh, right.
We call them parcels. That have to, where the meters are, we have to do a contract for each meter. So if you're interested in offering both, we could
We'd have
figure
20
out, we'd
have
have,
to 24.
no, we would
still
pick
have
like,
to have- okay, so
we'd
these
like,
would get
these
certain
would get
number-
one and these would, I mean,
Okay.
obviously you're
Okay.
interested in both their
Yep.
projects, so if that's the option you want to go with, that's one option, or
Okay.
just picking one and going with one.
Okay, thank you. And my thought is, again, solar's the future. I think it makes sense. The government is supporting it. I think it makes sense. Economically, we can save some money. My only concern is a guarantee. If we're going to get into this thing, I want to know who's backing us and and what's it going to cost us. What risk do we have? And again, to some degree, I know that with one of the proposals tonight, I know what the answer to that is. Now, you may not like Berkshire Hathaway, and you may love them. I don't care. The point is, we know where they're coming from and we know what we have. With the other one, they may come back with a proposal that's even better, but I don't know that. And what I'm saying is, with regards to the city, it's a risk that I don't know that I'm willing to take. That's just my opinion at this point. So, anybody want to put in another 2 cents worth? Otherwise, what we'd ask you to do is go back, finish something up, come back with a recommendation at our 16th meeting so that we can move this thing forward up, or we can move this thing forward down,
Perfect.
right?
And then I
Alright.
would be back later on with all of the contracts.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are now on item number 6 of our agenda. Item number 6 of our agenda speaks to the ordinance number 347. And at this point, our city administrator would love to take the floor and explain that to us.
At the last meeting, I talked about the family dwelling, the temporary family health care dwellings that the state of Minnesota recently enacted legislation to allow people to put temporary structures, 300 square feet or smaller, on their property to care for an aging or family member that's in need of assistance with their daily living. And at that time, we talked about it and said that we wanted to opt out, so the Planning Commission had a public hearing last Wednesday. There were no public comments, and the Planning Commission recommended opting out and taking a look to see if there's a need in our city for it, and if there is, we would do what the legislation allows us to do and put it in our ordinances the way we have our, in the right zones, in the right permanent structure and fee. And so,
Questions? Okay. Would you read the recommendation,
Yes.
please?
to adopt ordinance 347 to amend section 17 of the city zoning ordinance to opt out of Minnesota statute section 462.3593 regulating temporary family health care dwellings.
Comments? Questions? questions? Otherwise, I need a motion, please,
I'll make a motion
to accept the recommendation.
to
Thank you.
accept the recommendation.
A second, please.
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. Jamie, thank you for the motion. Thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Thank you. And thank you, and the Planning Commission for your work. All right. Item number 7 on the agenda. Jim and Lisa Keekly and a variance request. Would you give us some background on that, please?
Sure. The Keekleys bought a property at 210 First Street North. It didn't have a garage of any type. They've done a lot of work on the property. They've really made it nice looking, and a couple of Planning Commission members wanted me to stress that at this meeting, that they really appreciate the work they did. They want to put a very small detached garage that would be within 4 feet of the side and rear setbacks when the code is 5, and it would be 6 feet from the eave corner of the house, and the setback is 10. And there really is no other place on this very tiny lot for that. And so it's big enough to put a truck, and we want to at least be able to put a truck in there for their tenant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Council, comments, questions?
Yeah, we looked at it, the planning commission, and that is pretty much the only way you could do this. I drove by the place, and yeah, it's really nothing you can do if you want to put a garage. I think they're doing it in the best place they can.
And it'll work.
And it'll work, yes.
And neighbors, so what I heard.
We had one comment. Oh, okay.
I think it's wonderful, actually. It just looks fantastic. I wanted to come to the planning last time, but it was too hot. I kind of, hopefully it was a little cooler today, so that's why I'm fanning myself. But I just wanted to say, it looks beautiful. It really makes the neighborhood look fantastic, and to get a garage in, I think it's just going to raise the value of the lot and just bring up the whole value of the neighborhood, to tell you the truth. So,
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so you ready? If you would please read the recommendation.
To accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve Resolution 2016-34, a resolution approving 2 variances, allowing for the placement of a garage 4 feet from the side and rear lot line and 6 feet from the main building for property located at 210 First Street North, Cold Spring.
A motion,
that
please.
motion.
Fran, thank you. We have a motion. Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, and thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Make us proud.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 8 on the agenda, Big John. Ladies and gentlemen, if you please help me welcome Big John Stevie. He's a Public Works Director, and I understand he's one of the hardest working Public Works Directors in the city of Cold Spring. So, John, thank you.
Don't forget about Big Brian.
He's next.
All right. I got a late email today after work regards to the Irv Mueller property that we talked about. It's been kind of discussion for quite a while now. And we talked about bringing it back to our insurance. And there was 2 options for covering it, and neither one of them qualify for this situation. I can read off why. We have no coverage for underground pipes. There was no damage to anything due to this. And then the other one was for liability claim. The city had no negligence. The damages are suspect, meaning no one can tell for sure what caused the erosion. And the construction was 15 years ago, so it's time barred. So with that, about a month ago or so before we went to the insurance, we kind of been negotiating with Irv on it, and we talked about an $8,000 number to get rid of the problem. One of the large expenses in the whole process is a manhole. And with the project here in town, the county actually had a couple manholes that were not being used. They weren't going to get used anymore. And what they do is they just break them up and throw them away because you can't return them. So we actually took one of the manholes. We talked to the county. We used one of the manholes for this project in the future. So that's going to save quite a bit of money. I'm not exactly sure what the cost is on the manhole, but I'm assuming $1,000 to $1,500, right around there. So I think if we're going to proceed with the $8,000, I think it's kind of an up-to deal, and the city will kind of take care of the work of the 300 feet with the corrugated piping, and have Kramer's, do the project, and it'll just be an up-to deal. But I think it can be a lot cheaper with the materials that we have and stuff.
Okay. Thank you for that. Give me 1 second. Council, everybody remembers what this is, okay? It's, okay, north of town, all that, okay? Any questions, any concerns? Again, I think we've beat this horse as much as we can. We've made the residents of the area wait as long as I guess prudently it could be expected. So do you want to take some action on this or not?
Let's get it done.
Okay, then can we get a motion of up to $8,000?
$8,000.
Okay, we have a motion, can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Fran, thank you. Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second to authorize Public Works to get it done. And again, you'll have to work with Bridget and all the contracts if there are anything like that. So you work with them. But what we're saying is up to $8,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Perfect, thank you. All right, John, thank you.
An update, just some updates on like the wells. Trout was gonna be in last Monday. I talked to the farmer that's got the oats in the field, and he ended up harvesting over the weekend, so we had trout wait a week. So they've been doing some drilling, just kind of finding out like the geology. So we can, it's kind of a cheaper route before we pursue any more serious expenses to find out if it's looking promising at all. So they're in the process of that right now. They started on Monday. So that's where that sits.
Okay,
We also, Sue is still talking with their attorney and Fraley's attorneys, and there are steps, since we did make write that letter, taking our options. So we're working those steps along the same time. So we're doing the dual paths right now, and so I'll keep you updated as we know which
Okay.
path and where we're at.
and council, that's exactly what we want, right? We want them to keep working both of them so that we're keeping our options open, right? Okay, excellent. John, thank you. Thank you.
Yep, so that's kind of an update on the wells. Last meeting, we approved the road striping up in North Point, the bike lane. They came today and they did that. It looks very nice if you guys want to cruise up there and check that out. We did get another, for that approval was a bid up to $6,300. And we did get another quote in at like $4,500, but it wasn't an epoxy paint. And the life expectancy he figured was 2 to 3 years. Talking with Ron Fuchs, the epoxy that was originally put down, he said lasted about 10 years. So it was just kind of a no-brainer. We went with a little more expensive product that's going to give us 3 times the life. It's not 3 times as expensive, so was the way to go there. And then a County Road 2 update. Last construction meeting, we talked about like the roundabout and pouring concrete and stuff. If you remember a while back at a meeting, we kind of approved some late night working and stuff. They will be starting to cut. They're going to pour sidewalks maybe tomorrow. It ain't 100% for sure yet, but it's looking like tomorrow. And then once they start with the roundabout as well, they're going to have to start cutting that as well. And that's going to be late next week, maybe sometime early in August that's going to be happening. So I just wanted to let you know and the residents know there will be some noise up there in the evenings because it's got to get cut at night, kind of the curing process of the concrete. So it's an update there. And then for Hometown Pride Days this weekend, the detour will be rerouted just for the weekend. Actually, I think it's just through Saturday night, and then we're going to move it back. Or is it going to be all the way till Monday? Well, Main Street will be open after Saturday night after talking with Pete today, but the detour is going to stay. It's going to go from off of Main Street. It'll take a left by Winters on 2nd Avenue, and then tie into 1st Street south, and then head up to 5th Avenue, crossing Red River, and heading up to 5th Avenue. So that way we can have our festivities on Main Street. So that'll just be a temporary deal. Other than that, things are going good. They're confident they're going to get the roundabout done before school. Well, they kind of have to, so they're doing what they can. Last week they brought in another crew CNL did for pipe work up in the roundabout. So it's starting to take shape up there. Again, the detour is working well. Be safe, and it's a short period now until it's over. So
Excellent.
There will be parking for Hometown Pride in that vacant lot next to Schwiels. So people can park as they come off Main right there and then walk to the festivities.
yeah, we're going to work on some signage for that so people know as well.
Yep.
Okay, there's some black surface just outside City Hall.
Yep.
They're over the weekend. Can people drive on it?
I guess we're asking, it's still not for through traffic.
Okay.
If you need to access the businesses that are on there or, get to City Hall or any of those businesses along there, you're encouraged to use it just like you were when it was gravel. But we are trying to keep through traffic off of it because there's still a lot of work happening outside of the curb in the sidewalk areas, and there's still a lot of equipment, a lot of construction workers. So it's not a through route at this point. Continue to use the detour if you're going through.
And we updated the Facebook page and said the same exact thing, because we figured once the bituminous was put down that people were going to start using it. But it is going to be closed off as well for the streetscaping and things like that. There's a lot of construction workers out there yet. Until that's done, until we notify the public, that's the way it's going to be. And they can use it if they need to for business access, like Brian said. So.
Okay, thank you. One more thing. You were talked about some seal coating this summer. Can you give us an update on that?
The problem right now is granite chips. There's not a very high quantity of that, so these outfits are fighting over who gets them, and that's what they're holding up right now. And he told us that at the bid opening, was it was going to be later summer because of the granite chips. There's a shortage of them. So until we haven't heard anything from.
Okay, so people in certain neighborhoods shouldn't say, they skipped me. If they were scheduled to do it, they're still going to. We've just had to postpone the project because of some product.
Yep, the granite chips that go inside the oil that kind of base it. So I would say it'll be mid to late August when they do it.
Okay.
Unless it's for some reason they get their hands on some before then, but.
Okay, and you'll keep us posted.
Yep, we're on their radar, so they know about it.
Excellent, thank you. All right, council, what have you got for John?
I got nothing.
Okay, John, I have one more thing. A lot of comments about Pete and you and the way that Public Works has worked with regards to this whole reconstruction thing. Please share with the team that we appreciate very much what they are doing and how it's working out. It seems to be going very well, and we all hope that they understand how much we appreciate the extra effort that goes into it. It could be tough, it can be stressful, but they're doing it well, so please share that with them.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right, anything else? All right, we're on to item number 9 then. Number 9 is our capable and qualified city engineer, Brian Lynchen. Brian, welcome.
Mr. Mayor and Council. We covered a lot of the County Road 2 stuff already. We have pavement down. We're working on streetscaping items. They're continuing with pipe work. The roundabout, the road building's going to begin very soon. They figure once they're in there, maybe a week of dirt work, a couple days for some gravel, and then they're going to start laying concrete. And once they go in and start putting concrete in there, it's going to go fast. So they fully expect to meet their deadline, as they should. So.
Excellent. That's good news. Thank you.
Otherwise, the electric relocations, I think it was in the packet included with my memo. We got the cost from Excel to do the relocations, taking out the work on the east side of Red River, near the Main Street, or the work that was behind the Main Street businesses. So their new estimate was $35,000. It's about $63,000 less than the original estimate. So the other was a significant portion of work on the project. So we do have some savings there, and I think we talked about one of the other meetings, some of the savings from that we'll be realizing savings from our private electrician as well. So, and all of the easements have been obtained and are being recorded. So, thank you to those property owners who we worked with to obtain easements for the power lines. Otherwise, contaminated soils are being hauled out, and pretty soon we'll have some costs together on what that whole thing ran us, and then we'll be submitting to the Petro Fund in order to get as much reimbursement as we can get.
Thank you.
Anything else on County Road 2?
I seen they brought street lighting down to the shop to store it for the project, so I would assume that's in the near future for putting that up too. So.
Some of the light pole bases are in already.
Those wooden poles, Highline poles, where are they going, John?
I'm not sure where the wooden ones are going.
Because they unloaded a bunch today, didn't they?
Was that all wooden poles?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was some for the project as well.
They were. Yeah, I just saw them. They unloaded, like 20 of them or something.
I'm not sure where the wooden ones are going.
And tall one. Yeah, they're probably not even for here.
Unless those are some for replacing on Red River, but I think
I
most of
don't
them are
think
done.
they are, yeah. I don't think they're
So,
putting hardly any new wood ones in.
And there's a bunch of transformers laying there too. Yeah.
must be some sort of reconstruct project around town maybe. I haven't heard nothing.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Otherwise, Southwest Infiltration, I did see in the record, we had a news release in there asking for folks who are interested in a free boulevard tree. We still have several that are available. There was a map as well that highlighted the area that's eligible, those that are within the watershed for the Brewery Creek. So we're still looking to fill out a couple of those. And coming up in the next month here, we'll be putting our infiltration and our trees in. So once they get moving on that, that'll be a really quick project.
Being a smart aleck here for a second, I know that's unusual, but just work with me, okay? Do all the people that live in that area, do they all read the local paper?
I don't know that they all do.
Okay, I understand that there's a play coming up here in town, community theater. You've heard about this play, right? Have you seen the signs?
Seen the sign.
You've seen the signs. So people, Shrek, yeah. So people that don't subscribe to newspapers perhaps would have seen signs. Do we have any signs that inform client or people that might be interested? Do we have signs that they could see that we could use to help increase visibility?
We could use the marquee. We could use, we've put it on the Facebook account already, I believe.
Okay.
So we're.
Website? Okay, again, I know I was being a smart aleck, but what I'm saying is, we need to find ways. We have an opportunity here. We can't miss this opportunity. Why would we miss the opportunity?
You can drive around town with your car with them.
Yes, I can't.
Put some stickers on your car.
Yes, I can't. All right, thank you. What else you got?
That's all I have.
Are you sure?
Unless you have anything for me.
Council, what do we got for him?
If you don't get rid of all of the boulevard tree things, if you don't have enough, what would you do? Would you extend it out for?
We would likely look at city property within that area and utilize them on city property, because we do have, Pioneer Park, the ballpark, that's all within that area. So that's probably where we would utilize them.
Jamie, we need some, right?
Maybe a storm blew down a few trees someplace. Maybe somebody could use a few trees around town. I'm just saying this is a great idea if somebody needs a tree replacement.
Just saying.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Are you in the area?
No.
Bloody. We tried. Anything else? He opened the door. We can ask him anything. He said so. That's it? All right, you got anything for him?
Nope.
All right.
For Brian. Have they
Please.
started on the fence in front of Super America?
No.
Landscaping?
The first thing they have to do is they're going to be working on getting the granite piers on either end that anchor the fence.
Okay.
They field measure and then fabricate the fence to fit the field measurements.
Was there any problems with curbing down there or driveways or something? No, that was good?
We had some work on a shared driveway, working with a couple of property owners to get a cross easement. We had an agreement, then we didn't, and now we do have an agreement. So ultimately we got, I think it's in the right place.
Anything else? John, Brian, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Casey.
Item number 10. And, Brian, please share with your staff, the guys that are on the job every day. Again, they're very informative and they're doing a wonderful job. I'm looking out for our best interests. So again, thank you for that. Please share that with your guys.
Thank you.
All right, item number 10 on the agenda. We're going to call upon our illustrious Chief of Police, Chris Boucher, for a report. Chief.
You might be looking at something too. All right, there we go. All right. The very first, I know I had, when you guys originally got your council packets on Friday, mine was very lame to say the least. We were very busy on Thursday, so Friday was not a very good day for us to do things like that. We had a bunch of reports that had to get to the courts. We'll explain that here in the process. So we'll get down to the very first one on that list, and that is to obtain bids for to get rid of our squad car. We have a squad car down at the maintenance shop that we pretty much have been picking the bones dry. Like brakes, just various parts for other cars. We pretty much use that car. Instead of obtaining new parts for these cars, we had a squad car that was pretty much undrivable, we could say, but it still had parts. Ron would say, you know what, we have these parts on this car, let's keep it. So back in the day, that's what you guys had agreed on, keeping this car. Now it's at the point where there really are no more parts that we possibly could take from this car. It sounds like the motor runs, you know what I mean? So if somebody's looking for a motor, but that would be about pretty much it. It's a shell at this point. If you were to look at the car, it doesn't look much like a car anymore. So just looking to get rid of it. Free up some space down there.
Okay, would you please?
Sure. Recommendation to approve the sale of the unused parts from previously junked squad car VIN number 2G1WD5EM9B1124520.
Council questions?
And if somebody would want to look at this,
Yeah, if someone wants to look at it, we could definitely put pictures on Facebook, I guess. Ron was making it to the point where it's probably going to be a junkyard that actually buys it, because it's something that's going to have to probably be flatbedded, you know, out of there. They're going to want the fenders, the motor, and that's it. Like I say, it's not something that someone's going to buy and say, I'm going to fix this up and drive it. It's to that point where it would cost way more money to fix it up to make it drivable than would be for anything else. I mean, it's to that point. It's not going to be seeing the light of day on the road anymore.
Thank you. Council, can I get a motion to sell it?
I'll make a motion.
Jamie, thank you. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Dave, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Please
Okay.
move the car.
Excellent. So number 2, we're not going to go over 2 very much. I actually did that. I have a council meeting for Richmond coming up. So that second page you have on there is just kind of a breakdown of the event, whether it was at the event itself in the city of Richmond for both Friday and Saturday. And as you can see, it's not as exciting as it was last year. I looked at the last year one. We did deal with a lot more intoxicated people and so forth. I think a lot of that had to do with the weather. If you remember how Saturday was, rainy, all that stuff, it kind of takes that mood out of people's sales, however you want to say that. So we had approximately 55 hours that the officers had worked. I figured that out at the contract rate, which is about $2,000 that would have came to. Currently, the city of Richmond with the city of Cold Spring has a contract where they do get one free event, and this happens to be the free event for the year. So there will not be a bill going to the city of Richmond for that expense. It's a savings for them in that contract. I don't know, is there any questions on that second page? There really isn't much there. I'm guessing Richmond maybe has questions. I mean, it's their event, so they may have a little bit more questions. So if there's none, we'll go to number 3. We'll keep this going. Number 3, I already had mentioned that that's the National Night Out Neighborhood Block Party. And that again is going to be on Tuesday the 2nd, which is coming up very, very soon. Richmond has the ice arena, obviously, where they could have it where it's rain or shine event. We're going to have it in Richmond there. It's a potluck like set up for food, so people could bring whatever. Casey's General Store is going to be donating beverages, pops, waters, things like that for the event in Richmond. Cold Spring also has one. We actually have 2 parties going on. One being at the Pioneer Park, which is on the west end of town by 10th Avenue. That park has been around since way before my time, so most people know where that's at. The North Point Park is actually in North Point, and that would be the very northeast corner, so they're very opposite of each other, so it works out really well. We've posted that on the water bills of recent, so on the backs of the water bills. It was posted on there about National Night Out. Channel 10, Angie's kind enough to say she's going to be getting hold of Channel 10. So you all know what that is. That's the local channel where your meetings are posted on there. So that'll be flashed on there. And then also it's going to be in the Cold Spring Record next week about both events. And then the sponsors for Cold Spring, there's much more. I don't really know why that is. I do know there is, we have some officers, some of the officers are taking care of the Cold Spring event, and there's an officer taking care of the Richmond event. But to give you an idea, the beverages that are be donated through Cold Spring will be going through Erkin's Water, which is there again is a big sponsor for Firefest. Keys Brothers, the Shell gas station we have in town. The Holiday Store, which is on 23 there. They're all on 23 actually. And Red River Inn, obviously everybody knows where that is. Super America Store, and the Teal's Grocery Store. Everybody, I'm fairly familiar with all those businesses. They're all putting forth some things. A lot of it has beverages, but I do know for a fact that the Red River Inn is donating some bars type things. So there is a little bit of food that's being donated also for this. There's going to be officers there showing kids the squad cars. It's a time for people to meet their neighbors. Maybe they don't see them very often. Meet new neighbors that they probably didn't get to see before. There's going to be fire trucks like we've had in the past. This is the second year we've had it. I know last year, I don't like to bring up the past a lot of times, but Bob had mentioned that Cold Spring was looking to beat Richmond, right, last year? You had mentioned that. And Richmond actually beat us last year. So there is hope this year that maybe we'll get some more people from Cold Spring to show up. But yeah, we got our butts beat really bad when we're looking at the two towns. Cold Spring was not the numbers that Richmond had. So we do have that
Chief,
challenge.
I'm really sorry, but it's time for a personal plea. Ladies and gentlemen, this can't happen again,
There you
okay?
go.
Please, get out, meet your neighbors, attend these gatherings. This is important. Thank you.
Excellent. So so that's that. So that would be again on
August 2nd,
The 2nd.
Tuesday, 5:30.
5:30 to about 9 o'clock. The only thing is Richmond has a band, so I mean I don't know if they're playing fair. So they do have a band that's going to be there. So I've never heard them before. It is
Before you
Tim
came-
and Rick Bacchus.
Before you came in tonight, our Public Works Director was singing a song.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe we
So we
could-
do have a band possibly.
Well, what I'm thinking is, what if we try to do something like that? Okay, anyway, I'm sorry, we digress.
So yeah, so we'll stay on task. Maybe we
Yeah.
do want people to show up, so maybe he will stay home that
Okay.
night. So okay.
He wants a band, not karaoke.
Okay, so number four. Number 4 is the reason why I did not get anything in your packets on Friday. What happened was the city of Richmond had 2 businesses that took a total of 4 checks. These checks were actually found to be from a person that had deceased, died, right? And they were no longer active checking accounts. Someone was going around writing these checks. We had 4, we were working 4. On a TZD, it's like a safe and sober event. An officer is working on Highway 23 by Martinelli's, working speed enforcement. And once you know, the car and person decided to drive by at that particular time, which was probably not a great idea by that person driving by. Traffic stop was conducted. It turns out the person did not have a valid driver's license and also had an active felony warrant for his arrest prior to finding out he had these checks. A vehicle was then impounded, right? And inside the car was a pack of checks from this deceased person. So that's a great way to link the crime with the person that we arrested. So that worked out great. The problem all came in when the next day, Friday, we had to get these reports into the county attorney. We had done a search warrant that same night. I know several officers, including myself, all said and done, got home at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So to do reports at 9 o'clock in the morning, there wasn't much time to get your packet together. So that's the reason for that. We did do a search warrant. We found some more checks and various other things that obviously people should not have. But we did find some more checks at his apartment. In the process of doing that, a roommate, we'll just say, decided to fight with police. Okay, and broke the officer's glasses. The person had to get tased. So there again, that entails more paperwork. So it wasn't just one simple report. It was 2 quite lengthy reports that had to get turned in. We are looking to seize that vehicle. Okay, the vehicle is it's an older vehicle, but it is in very good shape. And the reason I'm bringing this up to you is this. We currently have where we cycle out a squad car every year, January, right? We're on that process now. The problem is We have 2 squad cars that are still under the old program, where we used to do it like every year and a half, 2 years, okay? So now when it comes to be January, we're gonna have 2 squads. That would be great to replace, but yet we're only replacing 1, right? One of the squads that we're looking to replace is the school resource officer squad, okay? So if we were to take this forfeited car and keep it, that it would only be used for the officer to go to school and, to go to the school, do his job and back and forth, right? It would not be lights, siren, nothing like that. It would be a way to eliminate the replacement of that squad car, okay? Right away. So we could, in all theory, replace those 2 cars, right? One being the forfeited car now, and one being the car we buy in January. So it actually fixed 2 problems at one time, basically. So we would basically, this car, we need to wait for a conviction, right? A felony. It was used in the commission of a felony. So by doing that, you lose your property. Okay, so it's a great point to people that if you're gonna commit a felony in Cold Spring or Richmond, you're losing your car. So it's a good point of that too. And there again, I did talk to a business already. There's a little bit of cosmetic issue with the car. Spoke with the business, and they were like, if you're going to decide to do this, they're extremely excited to help us out. So it's kind of like, we currently have the Trans Am. Everybody kind of probably knows what the Dare car looks like. It's a Trans Am. It says forfeited, seized from a local drug dealer, and it's got various businesses on the back of this car. Okay, so it would not be to that extent. It would be one business that would support this particular car, the car of this forfeiture. So we're still working with that. It could be a month. The guy could plead guilty next month when he goes to court, or it could be a year if he drags it out, through the courts. So it's not one of these things where I could tell you, yes, let's talk about it some more. This could be way out in the future, okay? But the possibility is extremely great because we have him on camera, numerous places writing these checks. And what's even beautiful about this whole thing is his roommate gave us a statement saying he owns a car, right? He bought the car, all this stuff. And we have the car in question in lots of videos where he's going to write these checks. So it'd be very difficult for him to beat. Can he beat it? There's a chance. I'm not going to say, I've seen stranger things. So that is that. So back up now to Friday. Okay, so we're doing these reports. We get a hold of the bank to get some more information about these 4 checks we have. It turns out that he didn't just write 4 checks in Richmond, but he also has checks, to give you an idea of, he wrote some in Richmond, right? He wrote some in Painesville. We tracked some down in St. Joe. We tracked some down in Ean Valley. We tracked some down in Avon, and tracked some down in Little Falls, and yet Stearns County. So like the smaller communities that don't have their own police departments. So to say that this is going to be a case that we're going to be able to send in 2 weeks, that's not possible. I can tell you right now, when that vehicle stopped on the 21st, he had checks that he wrote out that day. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, we're talking, this could be 3 weeks out before these people even realize that they have a bad check from this business. So we're not going to send something into the county attorney unless we have a really good reason to believe there are no more checks. Because all these cases will go together is how it works. So if that makes sense. So this is a long, drawn out process. This is not going to be something, it's going to be many, many hours. At this point, we have about $3,000 worth of checks so far that we know of. Okay, there's way more than that. I can guarantee you that. That $3,000, it's fair to assume that's going to be $6,000, if not more. I mean, these are just a small portion of the checks that we've gotten back so far. Little Falls has a check for $500. Just that one check alone. Richmond's check was, what was it, $342, right? So, that kind of gives you an idea how many checks this guy went around writing. So that is that. Are there any questions on that?
Okay. Anybody? I just have 2 quick things. The officer that you said had some issues, the officer is okay?
Yeah, there was a small bruise on the hand, and a pair of glasses is
Okay.
what got broke.
And,
So.
and we're taking care of dealing with that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so your entire staff, all your officers understand that we appreciate what they do, and we're trying to be supportive as best we can.
Yeah, no, that's,
Okay.
Bridget's doing a fantastic job at that, so.
And then the second thing, with regards to the car, council, we're not, there's no motion or anything like that, but we're okay with this plan to go forward with the seizure of the car, and then convert it into a resource, okay?
Yeah, so.
We got some head nods.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
motion, but we have some head nods.
So this is something down the road. So I mean, it's there again. It's something where we're going to seize it either way, right? So let's say we seize it and we sell it, then we get the currency, right? The cash. If we keep it, we keep 100% of that. So let's say we sell this car. Let's just use $1,000. It's worth more than that, but if we sell it, we keep $700 of $1,000. We have to give the $300 to the state and the, you know what I mean, to the prosecuting attorney and to the state. Okay. So it's a good deal on both ends. So either way, we're going to win on either way. So that's how that works. Number 5 just talks about that TZD we just talked about earlier. Then when the officer had seen this vehicle, he was working a TZD event. So there's tons of positive things that come out of TZD. That's a prime example. If the officer wouldn't have been working TZD that night, this traffic stop would not have occurred, if that makes sense, right? There's a reason why he was there. He wasn't there to take calls, nothing else. He was strictly there to enforce traffic-related incidences in Cold Spring. Then on top of that, if we get forfeitures, we keep the money in the forfeitures. When they work overtime, they know how many hours we put in. We get a check quarterly. So I mean, it's we keep the fine revenue. There's tons of positive things that come of that. So to give you an idea, from July 8th through the 22nd, the Cold Spring Police Department, the officers worked 120 hours during that time. So that would be hours that they are not working their regular shifts. So it does not count regular hours, okay? They worked 120 hours. They stopped 217 cars. They wrote 180 citable offenses. So let's say you get stopped and you're getting a ticket for speed, right? You might not have insurance card with you. That is a citable offense. That doesn't mean you're guilty of it, because you'd have to bring your insurance card in, okay? So that when you look at that 180 citable offenses, some of those things they could bring in to prove, and there's no fine associated with it. But there's 180 cited offenses, 201 warnings that occurred during that time frame, 53 seatbelt tickets, 65 speeds, and I did look it up. The fastest was a 52 and a 35, right by Marnatelli's. So that gives you an idea of, do we have speeding? We have speeding in Cold Spring. 52 miles an hour. Sergeant Bloom stopped a guy yesterday, of all things. You know where Bells Hill is. Maybe some of you don't. It's the road that goes up to the Granite Company, right? We had a driving complaint on 23 coming from the Wilmer area. So he was going up Bells Hill, right? 1st Street South, coming up the road, just getting the crest, and I believe it was like 87 miles an hour that car went by him. It was 80 something. I believe it was 87. So you can imagine on that road, traveling at 87 miles an hour, that was an extremely unsafe speed in any kind of car. So he did manage to get the guy stopped and wrote the appropriate ticket there. But yeah, so during this TZD wave, 52 and a 35, that is quite fast. 7 driving on a revoked driver's license. So 7 people that did not have a license got stopped during that wave in the city of Cold Spring and or Richmond. There were 6 warrants that were cleared up during that. There was 1 false name to police, 1 underage drinking and driving offense. There was 4 5th-degree controlled substance arrests. Basically what a 5th degree is, it's a small amount of methamphetamine, things like that, okay? A gram, let's say a gram, the size of an eraser. But still, 4 of those in a short period of time, that is quite a bit for Cold Spring. And then that 1 4th-degree assault, and that was talking about the number 4 above that. That was that check forgery. And then one more thing, I'm glad he brought Firefest up. Cold Spring, Richmond Police Department are in charge of the security at Firefest. I wish I had the list of the departments that are helping. In the next council meeting, I'll have that. I'll be writing letters of appreciations to each member of those departments. But I can, off the top of my head, I can tell you this, that it's Sauk Center, Avon, not Melrose, it's Sauk Center, Albany, Avon, St. Joe, Sartell, Way Park, Paynesville, Kimball. So I mean, it's numerous departments. And then when you hear all those numbers of departments, you're like, holy, whatever, right? But it's typically only 1 or 2 people from that department. So it's generally speaking, it's off the top of my head, it's around 22 officers. This year's the band Perry is required much more of us, so that's why the numbers are much more than it typically would be. Their demands are way beyond anything I've ever seen in my entire life for security. So that's the number one reason. And then we also, I know I had mentioned the Brady was on the Sartell Reserves. They're also coming back. And then we also have, I totally spaced this, St. John's is going to also send 3 of their security officers too, to help with various things. And then Bridget was kind enough to make some phone calls. All the departments, okay, are covered under their own cities for this event, except one, and that's St. John's, okay? St. John said if this is not our event, we would not prefer to cover their guys. It does sound like the city's insurance is going to handle the liability for the 3 St. John's security staff, from what I understand.
Firefest.
At Firefest alone, yes.
And their insurance too.
Okay, yes.
Covering them.
So, I mean, like I told the guy at St. John's, I don't want their people showing up here only to find out they're not covered by anybody. To me, that would not be fair. If we're going to ask them to help us out, and St. John's is saying we don't really want to be liable, and to be honest with you, it's very low key. I mean, generally speaking, we might kick out 8 people, out of 8,000 people, and we might arrest 4 people. So, I mean, it's nothing like, I've talked to other events that have other things going on, and I mean, when they hear our, 4 people arrested, I mean, they typically they arrest a dozen people at the same type of event. So ours is a very low key, type of thing. You have little kids to grandparents there. Most people that are that middle age probably don't want to do anything because their grandparents are probably in the crowd themselves. So generally speaking, it's very, very decent crowd. So that's about it.
Excellent. Questions for the chief?
Nope.
Okay.
Again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank the entire department for us.
Okay.
Item number 11 on the agenda, City Administrator's Report, if you would, please.
Last week, at the last council meeting, we put together the committee of 2 council members, Jamie and Dave, and Ann Herron from Planning, to be a committee to move forward on our space needs. We had 2 bids from architectural firms to do the formalized space need analysis, and the 2 bids came back. One was from Stantec and one was from HMA Architects, and the committee has recommended the HMA Architects bid. And so I have that here to present.
Any comments, questions?
We were only going to spend 10,000, right? Wasn't that our limit?
We did not have a dollar amount, I don't believe.
Are you sure?
I think when we did the budgeting, though, we had a number at budget time,
Yeah.
but I don't remember what the number was. But, and again, I don't want to sound hypocritical here, because usually I'm the number cruncher, but for the lack of $2,000 in the budget, do we not want to move forward with this planning? What do you think?
No, I'd like to move forward with it. I think that the 10 grand I think you might be referring to was for the housing study.
No, that was only
That was-
1,500 or something.
Okay.
And again, I think I do remember
think
that we
the
put in the
budget-
budget
yeah.
of 10,000
Because we-
for the planning process
Yes.
of the remodel.
Yeah, we did, and it was a,
Yeah.
But that, again, that was just, we needed a number.
A 2 is fine. I'm just going by,
Okay.
we
Yep.
had 10.
But I think we did in the
Yeah.
budget for a number.
Yes.
So, again, so you get any other, by the way, thank you. Any other questions? All right, would you read the recommendation,
Yes,
please?
recommendation to approve entering into a space needs analysis with HMA Architects for $12,000.
Fran is going to
12.
make a motion.
Fran, thank you for the motion. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Jamie, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent, thank you. And you'll draft the contracts and get all that?
We have their bid, so I have
Perfect. All right.
everything ready. I just have to
Perfect.
tell them they're up.
Perfect, thank you.
Next, we have been in discussions with M&X Properties. The principal is Gary Stang. That's Gary right there. He did show
Gary.
up today. They are in negotiations with Cold Spring to buy one of the lots along the river, just north of Main Street. Not that open space next door to Schwiels, but kind of hugging the river, to put in a 55 and older market rate apartment. They've come to the city to ask about some of the things about what they'd need from us, or what they'd have to ask from us, like rezoning, maybe a variance for height. An architectural firm was just brought into their process about a week ago, roughly. And so we talked about it at planning last week, and so I wanted to put it on your radar that we may be seeing some permitting and some requests. We weren't sure what kind of impact it would have on the creek and the river, depending on stormwater, so they're working through that with the architect and with Brian and John and Dan Cronin and I, and so just wanted to put it on your radar.
Okay, 1 second, please. Would you be willing to just have a seat up here so that if we had a question, we could ask? And again, we understand that it's early in the process and all of that, but we'd like you to know that we welcome you and we're glad you're here. We're glad you're working with us, so thank you for that. All right, please.
Okay, there's that promenade.
Yes.
That's not it. I mean, on that north side, there's a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But it's not in that, no.
No, it's right next to it. So you know how the promenade goes from 23 along the river, over Main Street, it was along the river, and then that big open spot, it's going to be right next to that park.
Because we had talked about that at the Parks meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I was just.
Yep, it's kind of right next to.
Okay.
So the promenade would be accessible for the residents.
And I'm assuming that that's part of the reason that you're placing it there is because of the fact that there would be the Riverview as well as the promenade, a park being right next to the building.
Yeah, absolute ideal location for a 50 unit, 55 plus. I would call it a luxury, upscale apartment. I think the
kind of right to the hill is part of it, and it would kind of hug and go back behind the hill.
Yep, right when you cross the bridge, you'd take an immediate right, and that would go back towards the old granite slab viewing area, and then the building you'd stay to the left though, and where it opens up like Bridget described would be the north side of the property, and ideally you'd have that entrance, and then you'd also come in from the intersection of 2nd Avenue and 1st Street as well. So what we're talking about would be an apartment complex. Bridget mentioned the height for variance because we want to have drive under parking similar to a garage ramp, a parking ramp, more than just tuck under where it's individual garage doors. And we're trying to avoid any outbuildings. So it would be a contained area, and what's really nice about this is working with Cold Spring USA, that the amount of green space allowed outside connecting to the river walkway or to Frogtown Park would allow for, whether it's garden plots or, food plots or bigger terracing area, whatever it might be. It's going to be, if we can get it done in the cooperation of everybody and the desire to have it done, it's going to be, I think, a very nice project and fit very well downtown.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
They were talking about the fire hall being there, so that takes care of that.
That's further towards the river. Fire hall would be, as the story goes, that would be closer towards downtown for the fire hall. Is there room for both? Again, we haven't seen plans, so we don't know exactly, but that's the storied fire hall is closer towards downtown, and their project is closer towards the river.
Correct, back up along. So the Cold Spring Creek has a 100-foot setback, and the river has a 75-foot setback, plus a lot of, would be stone coming out of the ground and stone too close under the ground. So it sort of forces us back into an area where, like Bridget mentions with the architect, we're really getting into it now to see what we can do.
It's kind of straight east on First Street, right? Isn't that
right?
If you extend that street straight, it's back there. It's actually a block off of Main Street.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. That old First Street access that the founder had.
So it would get its water from Main Street or from 2nd Avenue?
2nd Avenue.
2nd Avenue, okay.
Again, please, I know it's early, but I'm glad you're here tonight. I want you to know that we're receptive to hearing more from you. We want the community to know that you're bringing this wonderful concept to us. So again, please, thank you for being here. We want to work with you. Let's figure out how to get this done. Now, did I hear that, or am I making it up? August 1st is groundbreaking?
Yeah, no, it's not August 1st. We have a lot of homework to
So
do,
I must have just made that up.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Mr. Mayor, and we'll be bringing pieces. I'll be in close contact with Bridget the entire time, and she's
But we
already,
can, but we can publicly say that there is a plan, a proposed, we're in the process of a 50-unit, 55 and older apartment, luxury, I believe is your term, luxury apartment complex with tuck-under parking.
Drive-under parking.
Drive-under parking
Yeah.
along the river on the north side of Main Street.
That's correct.
Perfect. Thank you again.
Yep, thanks for your
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have nothing under the other.
Okay, nothing else?
Nope.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're on item number 12 of the agenda. That's where we get the privilege of paying our bills, and Bridget's going to read the recommendation for us.
Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff.
Let's pay our bills.
Fran, thanks for the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Jamie? Okay, Jamie, thank you for the second. We have a motion and a second. Okay, question.
Yeah.
Do we have to?
I like that.
Okay.
It says,
What does it say?
for that tip training,
Oh, yeah.
you're on the way.
Yep.
We're on
I
our
am.
way. We're on our way. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Congratulations, we paid our bills again. All right, item number 13. Jamie, we're going to start on your end. Item number 13 on the agenda. Questions and comments from the city council. Sir?
Nothing for me.
Okay, Dave?
Fire Fest.
Yes.
Saturday night.
Yes.
The band Perry's there.
Okay,
Eric Paisley.
excellent.
And off the top of my head, I don't know. Joe Diffie.
Trick pony.
Maybe we'll see.
John's all set.
Okay, John's all set. Okay,
Gates open at 4, I believe.
and are there tickets available?
Yes, there
Okay,
are.
there are tickets available.
Online.
Okay, so, and as far as I know, the weather is supposed to be absolutely perfect.
Beautiful.
I mean, for going to a concert, I think it can't get better. So it's going to be ideal weather, so I think everybody should just race out and get tickets. What do you think?
Okay.
Excellent, okay. Fran, what do you got? Oh,
can't beat
wait, on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Farmer's Market.
Oh,
Over at Country Store.
Okay.
At 3 o'clock, starts at 3, goes till 6:30.
okay,
And I'm not sure, I don't think there's any strawberries left, but raspberries,
okay,
I believe there are, and I'm sure the corn on the cob is going to be starting to come.
okay, excellent, excellent, thank you. What do you got?
I can't beat that.
Yeah, most of us can't. However, I'm going to try. I have 3 things that I have to throw. You put your bag down. This is going to take a minute. Okay? I have 3 things that I have to run by you. The first thing, got a letter, and again, please, knowing what we've gone through with regards to water and trying to get our rations and all that kind of stuff, we have relied on our representatives from our area, House, Fishbach. We've relied on them extensively. I got a letter, and I just want to read a portion of it. Representative Jeff Howe, who represents your city in the state legislature, has been selected as a League of Minnesota Cities Legislator of Distinction for 2016. And then it goes on and talks about a whole bunch of stuff. I want to say publicly thank you to Representative Howe. He's been a big supporter of the city of Cold Spring and our process. So again, the fact that he's getting this recognition, congratulations and thank you. It's wonderful to see that he's getting this recognition. From my perspective, it's well justified. He deserves it. So that's thing one. Okay? All right. Thing two, Steve Panic from the Stearns County Museum Historical Society has paid the city a visit, and he would like or we've extended to him an invitation to come to our next meeting and talk about historic preservation preservation and some of those kinds of things. So everybody, you're okay with extending him an invitation for that? Okay, so you'll extend him an invitation? All right, excellent. So Steve will come next week, or next meeting, to talk about historic preservation within the city. By the way, when I talked to him, I told him he had to do that which I can't, and he has to keep his presentation 5 minutes. I can't, but he can. All right, here's the last thing on my list, and this is really a big thing in my opinion. Okay, Fran, like you, the rest of us in the council here, we have heard that buying those parking lots that we wanted to buy was a decision that had to be made. But we heard that there was some concern that the reason that the seller wanted to retain those lots or retain the possibility of keeping those lots is because they may have a use for them. A buyer, a use for them. I have something that I want to present to us as a council that's going to address that issue. We also talked about the fact that do we want to buy the buildings at all? Because the building and the 2 lots, but it's going to cost us money. Well, if you remember that Brian and John and all the staff have been diligent working at keeping the cost down, and they've come up with roughly about $105,000 worth of savings so far on paper, but roughly $105,000. We committed that we would spend roughly $95,000 to buying those 2 parking lots. If I add 105 and 95, I get roughly $200,000. The Honorable Granite Community Bank offered us at one point to sell us the building and the 2 lots for $250,000. Using the savings that are, again, it's a paper savings, and what we were willing to spend on the lot anyway, realistically, that means we're paying roughly $50,000 for the building, which we could eventually decide that we want to turn around and sell. We can choose what we want to do with it. So economically, putting new dollars into it, we're looking at roughly $50,000. This is economically perhaps a really good idea. John, Dave, Jamie, please. One of the other objections we have heard is that one of the people along that route didn't want to allow us to have an easement, and therefore we had to reroute all of the things. Again, buying the building and the 2 lots would, if we chose, allow us to go back to our original plans. Do we want to? That's a choice we get to make next time. For right now, what I'm saying to you is, things are falling into place such that what I'd like you to do is give permission to let Bridget go back to the Honorable Bank and say, would you honor that proposal you gave us before? You offered to sell us $250, the building and the 2 lots. Would you be willing to stick by that and sell us the building and the 2 lots? Is it okay if we have Bridget see if they would be willing to do that?
I don't want the building.
Well, I don't either.
I still don't want the building.
I don't either.
I don't want to try to sell it. They haven't been able to sell it for how many years?
Thank you. That's an excellent point. They haven't.
I don't want it.
What do they have for a price point on it?
I don't know, but I don't want to sit there and try to sell that.
Okay. Their price point is roughly $329. We would have a different price point. We have heard over and over again that there's a potential of a buyer for the building, but it hasn't occurred. Potentially, the reason for that is their price point is lower than $329. What I'm saying is that's a choice we can make tomorrow. This is an opportunity. Can we at least have Bridget go out and see whether or not the bank is willing to stick with their offer? I'm hearing you say no.
I'm saying no.
I'd say yes.
You're saying no? Okay, so if we don't have a motion, but if we did, it would likely die 2-2. So again, the frustration for me is the fact that this is one of those tough decisions that has to be made, and unfortunately, we can't agree on it. But I would think we all agree we still need the parking, and this is just an opportunity. Whether we choose to keep the building or sell it, this is just an opportunity. So that's why I wanted one more time to bring it to you, just so you could get one more time. See if this is something that we could find a way to do. And what I'm hearing you say is, forget about it.
Well, we still have the case thing is still, they're talking, because I talked to the case people. They're talking about letting that building go and making a parking lot out of it for way less money. So we would have parking.
Okay, and that's true. And again, that's a different discussion that we should have.
But I'm throwing that into your
Yep.
equation.
Nope, and again, that's a valid point. And there are other places we could do it, but then it comes down to location versus a whole lot of things.
It might be a little bit farther, some of them, but we've been going back and forth with the bank, and I really,
And you get, but again, what I was asking tonight is, can we have Bridget go see if they would stick to their offer? And what I'm hearing this council is, don't even go there.
That's
Right?
to me.
All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to ask you to do now is join me on item number 14 of the agenda.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.